Matt, look, this is your guys' bombshell here. As you might expect, we got a lot of questions also about your sourcing on this because there's a lot of angles to this. But let me start with the pushback that you've heard from Justice, both via our reporting here at NBC News and, frankly, the way Rosenstein wanted to push back against your story. How confident are you of the wire part of this story? How confident are you of the 25th Amendment part of this story?
We wouldn't put it in the New York Times if we weren't confident about it, Chuck. But, look, I think it makes sense that the Justice Department is going to say, well, he wasn't being serious, because the alternative is to say, yeah, I absolutely thought that I should wear a wire in to see the president. That presumably would be the end of Rod Rosenstein as the Deputy Attorney General. So, we understand that there's going to be pushback to stories. What we know is that the acting FBI director at the time, Andy McCabe, who was in the running to be the permanent FBI director, memorialized this and told people in real time about this. And like you said, the pushback is, well, he didn't mean it. And if that's the pushback they want to have, that's fine. This is just a really remarkable moment. And it really speaks to this crazy period of time when Jim Comey had been fired. And it just shows the tension that was going on in the Justice Department and in the White House. And one other remarkable thing is Rod Rosenstein muses aloud and says, you know who I'd love to talk to about this? I'd love to talk to Jim Comey about who I should appoint as special counsel. It just shows what a crazy period this all was.
Is it likely to you, Matt, that somebody wants to surface this story at this time and wants Rod Rosenstein in the firing line on this?
Well, so I will say, I'm now a reporter for the Times based in Brussels. This has been something we've been working on since before I left. So this isn't something that somebody just picked up the phone and said, let's put this story out today. So, these things take time. This is a process. And rather than focus on sort of the motives of people who are talking to reporters, I think, we should talk about just what a totally remarkable and historic thing that we're witnessing here in the government.
Pete Williams, how rattled is Justice on all this?
Well, they're pushing back strongly on all of it, Chuck. But I think there's no disputing what Matt just said, that whatever happened here, it encapsulates a moment of chaos, confusion, and a great uncertainty at the Justice Department in the firing of Comey and all this pressure that Rod Rosenstein was getting from the Hill to appoint a special counsel. Now, what Justice says, a couple of officials that we've talked to, they say that they repeat this thing that Rosenstein mentioned the thing about wearing the wire sarcastically. There was an argument between him and McCabe, and at one point they say Rosenstein said, well, what do you want me to do, Andy, wear a wire? So that's the way they characterize it. On the 25th Amendment thing, they note that both, and by the way, I should say the people in this room, according to Justice, a secure facility at the Justice Department, May 16th, 7 people, 4 career people, the Deputy Attorney General, Andy McCabe, and Lisa Page, the FBI lawyer whose text messages would later become notorious. They say that both Page and McCabe wrote memos about this, that Page's memo was much longer about this conversation and that she never mentioned anything about the 25th Amendment, they say. But they say that McCabe's mention of the 25th Amendment was very short, just DAG raises 25th Amendment. And the other thing they say is, they say it's not credible, they claim, that Rosenstein would have wanted to talk to John Kelly about this since he barely knew him and was pretty new on the job. And the second thing they say is, remember that in order to invoke the 25th Amendment, it takes not only a majority of cabinet members, but also the vice president. And they say, is it credible to think that Rod Rosenstein would have thought that Mike Pence would go along with anything like this? So that's their version of what happened. So what you have here, really, Chuck, I think, is a meeting at which people have different recollections about what happened at a tumultuous time.
Obviously, the timing of this, the president just a week ago, Matt Apuzzo, was talking about not only greenlighting the release of those FISA memos, but also any text involving Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Page, basically all of the president's favorite targets over at the FBI. And now he gets handed this gift basket. He's been looking for an excuse here, and he may have it.
He may have it, but I'm not actually sure if this solves any problems for him. Like Pete, I've spent most of my time covering law enforcement, so I'm not a political prognosticator. But I don't know, Chuck. I don't know if that would help him. He's already gone out and said, I don't have an attorney general. Does he want to have another Senate confirmation fight? Does it risk galvanizing support for the Mueller investigation? I mean, the politics of it, you can make yourself crazy thinking about the chess moves here.
Absolutely. Pete Williams, very quickly, let's say Rod Rosenstein goes away tomorrow. Who's in charge of the Mueller probe?
Noel Francisco, the Solicitor General, would be next on the list. There is a DOJ succession list. He would be next up.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.